alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, I was guided to Islam. And Islam is really where my story starts. I grew up with a dad that suffered with schizophrenia, which is a mental health disorder. And most of my childhood was spent running away from my dad. She was scared to go to sleep, and she slept with a knife under her pillow because she was scared that my dad was going to come in and maybe kill her, right? Because of the things that he said. He spent a lot of time in prison. This actually led me to Islam. It was part of my journey to Islam because I then became involved in music, and I was, doing the rap on the rap music scene, the underground scene. And it was actually rappers that started telling me about Islam. We pretty much grew up with no religion in the household. When they started telling me about Islam, I was more intrigued at the fact these rappers are religious, because this is something that I had not seen before. So I began asking questions, and the more that I asked, subhanAllah, the more that Allah opened up my heart. And that was very, very beautiful, because I always think of this verse in the Quran, He found you lost and guided you, because I was a definition of lost. As I said, I've grown up pretty much trying to find friends in all of these different moves, in all of these different areas. And now I'm finding a light, I'm finding some form of guidance. At the point in which where I was like, okay, I'm ready to take my shahada, coincided with my dad being attacked with a knife. He had been stabbed on his arms, his legs, and in his heart. He was stabbed 8 times. And the most amazing part of that, do you know what that is? Is that he didn't die, and he became Muslim after that, alhamdulillah. If he would have died at that point, I don't think I would have been guided to Islam. When I went home that night and I had a Quran and I was trying to figure out what had happened and trying to make sense of everything, I tried to read the Quran. The only way I can describe it is like my heart literally lifted, and I stopped crying, and I felt like that was the Iman entering into my body. And a few weeks later, I took my shahada, alhamdulillah, I became a Muslim. And a few months later, my dad actually went back to prison. I went to visit him. So when I went away, my dad went away into the prison mosque. When I went back to the next visit, I sat on a visit with him, and he said, I went into the mosque the other day. So I said, okay. And he said, I read something. And I said, you read Shahada? And he said, yeah. And I said, you're Muslim? And he said, yeah. And this was in a prison.